Celestine, the talking cat, was the centre of attention in the warm glow of the royal chamber. The courtiers gathered around her watched in amusement as she batted a trembling mouse around the floor. The game delighted them. The sleek cat allowed the mouse to scurry just out of reach before pouncing again, a display of feline mischief that had laughter rippling through the room. But with a single calculated swipe, Celestine sent the panicked creature darting toward the hearth, where it ran straight into the fire. The laughter died instantly as the mouse was consumed by the flames, leaving only a wisp of smoke. An uncomfortable hush settled over the room. The courtiers exchanged uneasy glances, their smiles faltering. Celestine, golden eyes gleaming in the firelight, watched them all, her expression as nonchalant as ever. She was very proud of herself. Madame de Montespan, Louis XIV's most beloved mistress, had held the king's heart for too long. The court adored her beauty and charm, but Celestine's jealousy ran deep, twisted and hidden beneath the surface. It wasn't enough that she was the king's pet, she needed to be his only companion. Montespan had become an obstacle to what was rightfully hers. Late one night, Celestine crept into Montespan's lavish chambers, her golden eyes flicking over perfumes and ointments until she settled on a vial of belladonna. The poison, kept to enhance the mistress's beauty, would now serve as the weapon of her undoing. With a swipe of her paw, Celestine knocked the vial off the vanity and carried it away unseen. The next day, during the king's supper, Celestine slipped the belladonna into the king's wine. As Louis raised the glass to his lips, Celestine leapt onto the table and knocked it out of his hand. The crystal goblet shattered, the wine spilling as red as blood over the royal parquet. The court gasped, but Celestine, with feigned innocence, declared that her sensitive nose had detected something dangerous in the drink. The wine was poisoned, chaos erupted. Celestine became the hero of the moment, saving her master from certain death. Whispers spread quickly. Montespan was known to use belladonna in her beauty routine, and the servants quietly confirmed it. Soon, suspicion fell entirely on the king's mistress. Celestine, purring with satisfaction, fed the court a delicious narrative. Montespan, aging and desperate to maintain the king's favour, had begun using the poison not just on herself, but on him as a potion to secure his love. The courtiers, envious of Montespan's hold over the king, seized on this story with cruel enthusiasm. What had once been admiration for her beauty turned to pity and scorn. Montespan was no longer the dazzling mistress, but a desperate woman clinging to fading allure. Celestine twisted the knife further, invoking scripture to justify the court's growing hatred. It was pride that cast the brightest angel from heaven, she purred. Her golden eyes gleamed as she compared Montespan to Lucifer, fallen because of her vanity. The courtiers, already stirred by envy, now believed they were witnessing divine justice. The whispers grew into a frenzy, and soon a mob formed. Celestine summoned the bishop to pass judgment. The bishop's voice rang out with righteous conviction. Madame de Montespan is no longer merely a woman, but the very embodiment of Satan's manipulation. Her vanity, her beauty, has been twisted by dark arts to enslave our king, to corrupt the soul of France. We cannot allow her to remain among us. She is a witch, and she must be burned to purify this court of her wickedness. The declaration sent waves of fear through the courtiers. Montespan was no longer just an aging beauty, she was a witch, a servant of Satan. The court was gripped by terror. The accusation alone sealed her fate. The king, though devastated by the accusations, could not protect his mistress. His power was helpless in the face of such fear. Montespan, once adored, was dragged to the stake by the enraged, torch-wielding crowd. She was made into an effigy, no longer human but a symbol of sin and satanic influence. The flames roared to life as the mob jeered, their torches lighting the bonfire that would purify the court of her imagined wickedness. Celestine watched from the shadows, her glowing eyes reflecting the flames as she purred quietly. The scene before her, the madness of the torch-carrying mob, the dehumanization of her rival was more than satisfying. She had orchestrated it all, turning the courtier's envy into righteous fury. Later that evening, Louis sat alone in his chamber, the weight of his loss pressing on him. The king, the most powerful man in France, was now emotionally adrift. Celestine, sensing his despair, leapt gracefully onto his lap. She began to reassure him, her comforting purrs cutting through the silence. "Only you," Louis murmured, stroking her fur with trembling fingers. "Only you, my innocent cat, can be trusted." Celestine pressed closer, purring louder, her golden eyes half closed in satisfaction. She had won. Louis was hers now. The king, broken by loss, found comfort only in his cat, unaware that she had been the architect of his ruin. Celestine, the talking cat, was now the keeper of his heart.